It is another week of What the F Happened. This is a weekly show that Steven and I do talking about the craziness going on in the stock market. And I'll tell you, today's show is going to be action-packed because it's been a effed up week out there. I mean, nothing, in my opinion, makes sense. Who just went to space, man?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. So here's the cool thing, right? If you're a wealthy individual, you now can wake up in the morning, have your morning coffee, show up to the rocket, jump in the rocket, and say to your wife, honey, I'll be home for lunch. And you go to space and you come back down. And what is the price tag to do that?
I don't even know, but to become an astronaut, if you got a bunch of money, it's a pretty cool little adventure you can go on, right?
Oh man, it's crazy. It's kind of like, hey honey, me and the guys are going to go play golf. I'll be home at lunch. Now it's, hey honey, me and the guys are going to go to space and I'll be back before lunch. How about that? That is effed up, man. And it's cool though. NASA couldn't figure this out for what? I don't know, however many years, 100, 50, 20 years, whatever you guys want to call it. And, the private enterprises, whether it's Amazon and Jeff Bezos. So, one thing that was in the news that I thought was kind of interesting is Bezos actually, Steven, tell us what's going on with Bezos employees. Like, what did he say? That was a pretty crappy thing that he said to him.
Well, yeah, so he came out afterwards during the press conference and they were talking about it. He goes, I just really want to thank all of Amazon's employees and customers, and especially my employees, because you are all the ones who paid for me to be able to fly into space today.
I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer because you guys paid for all of this
today. So it's a little bit of a F you in the face, since this is what the F happened. It's a little bit of a smack in the face because, as most people know, there's been a lot of news articles lately that Amazon doesn't treat its employees the best way. And that starts with the top with Bezos' leadership. There's been a lot of stories talking about how he purposely stops giving raises and stops giving incentives because he's a believer that after somebody gets in a job for a certain amount of time, they become lazy and they no longer perform at their highest levels. So he'd rather them quit and replace them with new people that will go out there and hustle and try and get those initial raises until they can't get any higher. And he just fluctuates people. And then there's all the stories of the drivers under such strict schedules, they have to pee and poop in bags inside the delivery trucks, and then the workers inside the buildings are tracked and they don't have time to go to the bathroom, that they're running all ass and there's no excuses for anything. And it's supposed to be a really, really tough work environment. I mean, we can argue whether that's a good or bad, how much he's employing and all that stuff, but the bottom line is the employees over the last year or so have not been happy. There's been a lot for him to come out and say, I spent my day going to space, the first person to ever do it, and I want to thank all of your blood and tears to put me there. It's a little bit of an awkward situation there.
You don't say. Are you kidding me?
So seriously, for every Amazon customer out there and every Amazon employee, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And you know what his employees are saying? F you, Bezos, you cowboy son of a bitch. Hey, listen, big accomplishment to him, high five to you, Bezos, for taking yourself and a bunch of multimillionaires into space for I think a 10 or 11-minute trip. Hey, why go to lunch with your buddies when you can actually go to space with your buddies and you don't even need to poop in a bag? So not too bad. All right, let's do Apple here because this is
Apple doing now. Apple's always doing something.
So Apple said Apple will postpone return to office deadlines by at least a month as COVID variants surge. So let's see, our stocks back on the stocks back on the rise. I'm just reading this article real quick. What's the future of commercial real estate? What can be the alternative use for that space? So essentially, if Apple, that giant company, is postponing people coming back to the office, has anyone seen Apple's offices? It's not just like small. It might as well just be its own country. And now they're basically, kind of kicking the can. And I understand. Listen, I'm not saying anything about COVID. I'm not trying to play politics here, but they're not, if they're doing that, how many other companies are going to basically eventually just say, hey, we don't need office space? And now that's already happening. I know just in our little business here, we have a lot of people working remotely, and those people will never have to come back in the office. We have figured out, pivoted on how to run businesses remotely. How many other businesses figured that out? So I want all of you to think about driving in your car to work today, or maybe you didn't go to work. Maybe you're working from your house, but just think about the days when we actually used to drive in our car to go to work, right? We got in the car in the morning, we stopped and got a coffee, or we had our mug of coffee, we're driving. What did you see? Big office buildings, right? Strip malls. You saw all these giant office spaces, right? Every one of you. But what if we don't need offices anymore? What if eventually everybody just works remotely from a home office or a central hub that they report into? Like, what's going to happen to all that commercial real estate? Like, literally, like, what's everybody's opinion? Let's get some feedback here. So Drew's commenting in here from YouTube. Drew says, so the real question about Apple's decision is really a function of the Delta variant, or is it because people were complaining about having come back 3 days a week? That's a good question. What does everybody think? So what does TikTok think about the Delta variant and, people actually saying that they're scared to go back to work? Are they really scared, or are they just kind of comfortable working from home? What do you all think? Because this is a pretty interesting topic. And again, please don't go this show, What the F Happened, our weekly review of the market, is not political, and it is not saying any sides on COVID. I just want to be very clear about that. But we got to kind of look at what's going on out there in the markets and what's happening with companies like Apple, and then decide, like, what is that? So we got people coming in from Instagram. I own 3 companies, streaming platform, comfortable working from home. So, right. People are just comfortable working from home. So now their big employer says, hey, we're gonna come back to the office 3 days a week. And like, whoa, Delta variant, man, no way, I'm not coming back to work. I like working from home. So, like what Drew said, is it really the Delta variant, or is it just people have gotten really comfortable working from home and they really just don't want to go back to work? And the other question is, Stephen, I want your opinion on this. Do we really need to go back to the office? Like, is it essential? And I'm not saying for all businesses, but for some businesses in some positions, is it essential that we actually have to go back to work? Because what I've found is that my staff are doing a hell of a job working from home, and actually sometimes being more effective because you don't have the office drama. You don't have the chitter chatter. You don't have things. Yeah. What is your thought on that?
No, I've worked from home for a long time myself now, and it definitely takes a little adjusting, but I think people have figured it out. And now, especially with technology, with Zoom and all these different, Microsoft Teams and Google Drive and Google Teams and all that stuff. And it's just, it makes it so easy these days. And I do think it takes all that travel time. And what does traveling in a car do to people? It stresses them out. We are not naturally meant to travel 65 miles an hour fighting with other people and stop and go traffic. It's not a natural human function. So anytime you drive, you are always at an escalated state of stress. So you arrive to work already at an escalated state of stress. So it takes you a while to unwind, and then you get a little work done. And then now you got a break. So you go chat with people and catch up from the weekend, or, what's going on coming up on the next weekend, always working for the weekend. So, you get that. So you get work done, but if you can just wake up and get your shit done, it gives you a lot more free time. Maybe you're a happier person. I mean, I know a lot of people, though, that also miss going to the office. So they miss that human element. They miss being around other people. My wife always makes fun of me. She's like, you literally don't leave our neighborhood for like 4 or 5 days at a time. Like, how do you do that? Like, she's the kind of person that would, like, when she was teaching from home, my wife's a teacher, when she was teaching virtually at the very beginning of COVID, which didn't last long in Florida. Luckily, she had the whole school year last year. But when it first happened, like, she was literally going insane. She needed to get back into the school, environment. So I think teaching is not a good thing for doing it virtually, but there is a lot of work that can be done virtually. But I think that big companies like Apple and Google are always going to play it safe. If there's any little bit of question, if people can get sick, or, if the government or whatever is pushing this Delta variant and, it's all blah, 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 I think they're going to follow that guideline. So they're not going to have people come back. And I think the size of the company and where it's located more than anything is really going to drive that. Obviously, Apple's a California company, so they're screwed. Those people probably can work from home forever now.
Given that, that kind of his take on that, everybody on Instagram and TikTok, and I got a bunch of people commenting in, like that they agree with that. Like, hey, listen, we've all adapted over the last, well, it's been more than a year now, to working at home. We've literally carved out parts in our house and made them our studios or our workspace or our offices. Some people have even moved into bigger houses outside of the urban area because, hey, they no longer needed to go to the office. So why the hell do I want to stay in urban, I want to get out of this city. I don't want to, hear the sirens and the gunshots and all this. I want to get out into the country and like run around a backyard and do things, ride four-wheelers, whatever you do. We've gotten used to this. So when the time does come, when all this ends, if it ever does happen, and everybody's supposed to go back to work, like why don't companies find a way to save on overhead and make it optional? Literally, maybe there's a different pay grade. If you work from home, maybe there's a different bonus structure or something. Like figure it out and make it optional for the employee to decide. Listen, here's the one thing I will always tell you. This is how we run our company and our culture. People are way smarter than we give them credit for. The government gives us credit for nothing. They think we're all freaking idiots and sheep. And, a lot of people are, but, there's a lot of really smart people. And we can make our own decisions if allowed to. So companies should just give everybody the ability, if the company can operate that way, to work remotely or to actually come in the office. Like, hey, create workspaces in the office. Don't make offices like, hey, this is Jim's office and this is Lori's office. Make workspaces. So people want to come in and have that office experience. Like, I love being in the office every day. I can't work from home. It's just not the way I'm wired. But other people love working from home. Steven's at home. He doesn't even go outside, and he lives in Florida, for crying out loud. He just loves being in this office with the lobsters. But I think people should be like given the opportunity and the ability to think for themselves, to make decisions that are better for their needs, for their goals, as long as they still produce and do what they're supposed to for their job. I think from my standpoint, I think when people are left at home, like you said, Stephen, they don't have that stress of driving an hour to work, dealing with traffic, going up elevators, all that nonsense. And they get in work and it's an hour cool down time. Now people wake up, they clock in, like when they log into their computer, they're clocked in, like they can get a lot done. And the other thing I think that's unique, when people work from home, they will work more efficiently, because the faster and more efficient they work, the faster they can do things from, that they enjoy at home. They can go out for a longer lunch if they put in more time in the beginning. And listen, I don't think it's a matter of trading hours for dollars anymore. I think it's a matter of how effective people actually work in the time they're working and how much they get done. What does everybody think about that? Drew said, I personally always found it interesting that most people spend 30 to 40% of their incomes on their homes, yet spend only 10 to 20% of their waking hours there, given a job situation. Yeah, okay, that's a good standpoint. It just seems, and then he says, it just seems a bit odd. There's a lot of things that seem odd. And one of the things that I really want to talk about is Peloton. We all know that Peloton, you've seen the commercials, right? It's pretty interesting. Peloton now is preparing to enter the video game business. Solid business idea or not? What do you all think? Do you think Peloton entering the video game business is a good idea? Already people are working from home. That's probably not going to change. And they're going to use the same equipment for their video games like we. So now they're going to sit on their Peloton, play video games and work. Like, how many times do we need to distract people? But I mean, why do we need Peloton entering the video game world? Isn't there enough video game companies? I mean, now we got to play video games while we're working out. Do we really need that much stimulation to want to get on the Peloton and actually work out? What is everybody thinking about that one?
I think Peloton's grasping at straws. I think that they are a way overvalued company, and they're trying to prove that they can do something to create profits and last long term. But I don't know, man. Those are some expensive bikes. I know the people that have them love them. I think it's great that people are working out. I also think it might be more of a fad, and that's what they're realizing themselves. And I think they're trying to find a new business model or an additional business model to drive business. Me being somebody that does exercise, runs, I don't Peloton, but if I had one, I would, I guess. I mean, if it was a rainy day or something, but I don't want to be playing a video game when I'm working out. When you're working out and you're driving, you're sweating, like you're got your music going and you got your motivation going. You're not freaking chasing ducks or Mario around a board.
I don't know. We just got a comment from Catherine. She said, aren't kids getting sucked under those things? Well,
I mean, they will be if they think there's video games.
Yeah. Honey, where's our son? Where did he go? Did you check under the Peloton? You know the Peloton sucks him under there. That's probably where he's at. Oh, yep, honey, you're right. He's under the Peloton. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't know. There's so much craziness going on out there, but folks, you know what? All this stuff going on in the markets can just be traced back to the craziness of 1929. Read a book, watch a YouTube video about the just craziness that was going on, and watch what happened next, because it's all going to happen again.
There's one thing I have to see this week, and that is Drew Hitchcock doing a round of Dance Dance Revolution. So if you got video of that, Drew, I got to see it, man. We're going to highlight it on our next show.
Absolutely. Dance Dance Revolution. Drew is going to put together a special video for all of you watching. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode of What the F Happened.
Man, stay frosty out there. Who knows
Stay frosty out there. California, New York, Jersey, wherever the hell you're at. Stay frothy. All right, if you like that video, make sure you check out this video right now. And also, don't forget, subscribe to my channel, and don't ever forget to smash that alert button. We'll see you on the next one.